Cześć, witaj ponownie. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to today's video. Dzień dobry, how you all doing? So today we're going to be checking this video out that says, why is Polish so hard? So we're going to be trying this together. I hope maybe I can say a few words, or I know a few words in this. Maybe it's going to be like a learning process for both of us, me learning Polish language and you seeing my reaction towards it. All right, so let's dive into today's video. I hope you enjoyed this particular video with me. If you're new to the channel, hi, welcome. My name is Jessie Riyat. Here I create a lot of amazing content that's going to brighten your day. So if you find enough my content amazing, let me know in the comment section. So guys, let's check this out together.
Vikings, and welcome to Why is Polish so hard? So I made this same video a while back, but I thought I would make it again, just a better version of it. So first of all, I'm going to talk about why explaining what language is the hardest in the world is very hard. So if you just Google the answer, pretty much every website will tell you different answers, which I thought was very interesting, so I researched it a bit more. And I found out it's because the hardness of a language depends mostly on how similar it is to your native language. So for example, Mandarin is considered to be one of the hardest languages in the world, but if you're Japanese, it might be way easier for you to learn Chinese or Mandarin than it is for a German, for example. Although the reason why Mandarin is so hard is also because it has thousands of different characters that mean specific things. So if you live in the Czech Republic or in Ukraine, it is going to be way easier for you to learn Polish than it is for a Mongolian or someone who speaks Swahili. Personally, I think the reason why the Polish language has the stereotype of being very hard is because it uses the same alphabet, or pretty much the same alphabet as English, but then it connects many and many consonants, which English people are very uncomfortable with. And this phenomenon of many consonants being next to each other can be clearly depicted in many memes about the Polish language. Here are some examples. Before I get any deeper into Polish grammar, I would like to talk a bit about the history of the Polish language. So, what I find interesting is not since pretty recently there hasn't been a big culture around the Polish language, since most of the educated part of Poland, which was pretty high compared to other countries, we're speaking Latin instead.
Latin?
It's only because of famous writers like Mikołaj Rej and Jan Kochanowski that the Polish language started being more respected. Because the Polish language was only spoken by peasants and farm people. And then it slowly developed into a real language. What I find interesting is that Polish is a mixture of many languages. Like, for example, the word kalafior in Polish has an Italian origin, or the word for rope in German is sznur, and then it's also that in Polish. And you have similar examples with shark, rekin in Polish, and teacher, belfer, is the same in Yiddish, because Poland used to have the highest Jewish minority in the world. Before you know what happened. So let's finally get into grammar. So, you probably know that Polish can have hundreds of different versions of every single word. So for example, the word play. The word play in Polish is gra. And then here on screen you can see that there are hundreds of different ways that you can say the word. So in English, for example, you would say I play football, or you play football, or he plays football. In Poland, instead of the he and you just change the version of the play. Of the word play. And that's why it looks very confusing. And it doesn't get confusing for native Polish speakers because you just get used to it. The same way how native German speakers don't have to learn dirty das. It is kind of funny to see all the different versions of one word because it looks really complicated, but it actually isn't. I would even say it makes it even simpler since you need to use even less words in a sentence. And you don't have to remember everything.
I'll say about this is every language is different in their own way, okay? So my own difficulty with learning that Polish, Slovakia, and I think Czech Republic is the way they address the male and the female, okay? The way they address the male is different from when you are speaking to a female. Like the consonant, the verbal, the everything is always different. You have to select your words, the words you want to say to a male, differently from the words you want to say to a female. You have to speak to a female in a feminine way, and you have to speak to a man in a masculine way. I don't know why is it like that. Please let me know in the comments section, because in English language you speak to anyone same way. There's no masculine and there's no feminine. If you get what I'm trying to say, let me know in the comment section. So we're going to be diving more because I want to see what more he has in store for us.
Single version of every word, because pretty much every word has the same endings and beginnings depending on what you want to use it for. So for example, if it's a woman or man or multiple people, you just use a different ending. Now time for the second funny phenomenon in Polish, and that is no and no. So in Polish, no means
and no.
yes in a casual form. So for example, if your friend asked you, have you been in this shop this evening? You would answer no. This isn't really a problem in colloquial terms because the distinction between no and no is pretty clear. This problem is especially clear in my family because we partially speak English. So the problem with this no and no is in texts, because in text you can sometimes either reply no in English or no in Polish. It isn't a very big problem, yes, but it can get confusing at times. So now to the last grammar part of this video, and that is going to be the Polish alphabet. There are 32 letters in a Polish alphabet, and that is because they invented some more, but they also removed some, like for example the letter V. So most letters in Polish, in the Polish alphabet, are the same as in English, or at least similar, but then they've changed some. Like for example, W makes a V sound, and then the letter W, the one you can see right here, replaces the W in English. Then there are some letters that have additions, like for example, S, C, Z, B, A, E, and Z again, and O. So in Polish, you can either add, it's either or, but it's usually a stripe. You can add a stripe on top of a letter, or a tail at the bottom of a letter to change the way you say it. So for example, if you added a line above S, it would sound like this. Sh. And with C, ch. And with Z, j. If you added a dot above the Z, it would be j. And if you added a line above the O, it would be an U. And if you added a tail under A, it would be an ong. And if you'd add a tail under E, it would be eong. So I can imagine this being very confusing to learners of Polish, especially if you come from the English alphabet with only 26 letters. It can be quite overwhelming. But that's not it, because I would say that technically Polish has even more letters, because you can connect letters to make them sound very weird. Like for example, if you add a Z to some letters, it totally changes the way it sounds. So if you add a Z to S, it is a sh. If you add a Z to a C, it's a ch. If you add a Z to a R, it's j. And if you add it to a D, it's z. And then you can connect the connection with Z, and also
wow.
the
This is
different
mind-blowing.
variations of Z. So it gets even more complicated, but I won't get into that.
Che.
So Polish has
Je.
so many different ways to pronounce letters that it becomes very interesting when you hear a language. Now I'm going to give an example of a conversation in Polish so you can hear how it sounds. Jeśli rozumiesz to, co mówię teraz, to masz szczęście, bo
Cho.
jesteś Polakiem. I powinieneś być dumny, że jesteś Polakiem, bo Polska to jest bardzo fajny kraj. Bezwzględnie na to, co myślisz, Polska zdobyła...
Is that Polish language is very sweet, okay? If you learn it, the way it sounds very romantic. It doesn't sound rough in the ear, okay? The che, je. So you put C and Z and D and Z. Everything pronounced in a different way, okay? It's quite cute, seriously, but it's still difficult. It has its cute side and has a difficult side because you are trying to pronounce something and you pronounce it in a different way. Che, je. Anyway, let's keep on watching. I think he's saying something in Polish language, which is quite sweet, okay? But I want to see what it means in English, if he's going to interpret what he's trying to say. Yeah, because what he's saying, the words that is coming out from his mouth is really sweet.
Dużo fajnych rzeczy. Pszczoła i chrząszcz to są owady leśne lub czasem też bywają być na łące. I to jest bardzo ciekawe. Jeśli wbijesz ołówek w pszczołę, to trzcina z niej wyleci, bezwzględnie na to, co myślisz. I może krew będzie wyglądała jak taka
bardzo
żółć.
ciekawe.
Bardzo dziwne rzeczy tutaj do ciebie mówię, ale na szczęście oni nas nie rozumieją, bo tylko Polacy rozumieją Polaków. Do zobaczenia. So that was a little snippet of the Polish language, and you can notice the giant contrast of different sounds, which I would say is the opposite of Danish, which I'm also gonna make a video soon of. I would say that Danish and Polish are extremely different, because the thing about Danish is, unless you pronounce a Danish word perfectly, a Dane won't understand you. But in Polish, you can totally demolish a pronunciation of a word and a Pole will still understand you, because of the giant contrast of words. And also, many Polish words are pronounced the same way you read them. That, I think, is a big plus in the Polish language, and is also why I like it. This video was really fun to make. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Farewell, żegnam, and goodbye.
It was quite interesting. Quite interesting to watch, okay, and to hear his own perspective of why Polish language is different, because because of the consonant, the verbal, the stretching of the words. Wow, every language is different in its own way, but if you are down to earth to learn a language, you definitely learn it. So I hope you enjoyed the video with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Definitely, I know someone to ask me, am I learning Polish language? Yes, but I'm not that so perfect like that. Still in the rough stage. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video with me, and I'll see you all in my next video. Jackie M. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.